Hi everyone, welcome to Learning Impact, and today in lecture we will discuss difference between culture and civilization. So let's start. Okay, what is the difference between culture and civilization? First we will define that what does it mean by culture and civilization. Culture can be defined as the way of living of a group of people. Means that it is a way of living, it is a way of thinking, it is the shared values of majority of people of society, that what people think of particular aspects. So it is a way of living of group of people that transmitted from one generation to another. So it become a culture of that group. On the other hand, civilization is a progressive state of human society, which means that in progressive stage mean that human society it actually evolved through the stages. So civilization is a progressive state of human society through which the human society has been evolved, that becomes civilization. Now, what is the scope of culture and civilization? Culture is mostly the intangible aspects of societies associated with culture. Intangible means the aspects that has no physical manifestation, or that is unreal, that is abstract, that is conceptual. So it form the culture of society. It includes the religion, art, philosophy. This is something that is internal, that is associated with the mental aspect of individuals. So it form a culture. But on the other hand, the civilization include both tangible and intangible aspect, because the civilization mostly include the infrastructure, the laws, the institutions, which is mostly in the form of the tangible and intangible aspects. In case of the tangible, it include the buildings, the infrastructure. Intangible include the laws and institutions. So it associated with both aspects of the society. Now, culture cannot be measured because it is an end, it is the ultimate goal. And while on the other hand, civilization is the mean to an end, so it can be measured. There is a precise standard to measure a particular civilization and to compare the efficiency of, for example, if you compare the efficiency of plough with that of tractor, because the society then develop, so it form a kind of civilization. So we can measure the different aspects, different stages of society with each other on the basis of their technological advancement and on the basis of the tools which they were using. But on the other hand, the culture cannot be measured, because what we think of other culture, it might be that in that culture they give priority to the aspect which we consider inferior. So it is mostly the when we tend to measure the outside culture, it actually leads to the ethnocentric behavior, because there is a culture biasness which involved in the measurements. That's why there is no particular standard on the basis of which we can measure the culture. Then range. Culture is a part of civilization. The civilization, on the other hand, the civilization actually resulted when the different cultures they combine. It means that the culture is actually, when we study a different civilization, which we actually found the evidence in the form of tools which were using by the different civilizations. So we can say that culture is a part of civilization, because when we study civilization, we come to know about different cultures. How we come to know about different cultures? We come to know about different cultures from by the tools which they were using, and also the any kind of the manuscript in the form of anything in the form of writing which belong to a prehistoric people or any other culture. So we come to know about the culture, about a particular civilization through these aspects. But on the other hand, the civilization is that when we combine different culture. Okay, for example, in the form of the Mesopotamia, in the form of the Indus Valley civilization, which actually include the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, so they actually form a kind of civilization in which there are different cultures, different kinds of practices, which leads to this culture, this civilization. Okay, then development. Culture actually evolve as a result of the everyday life. For example, if we take the example of the storytelling, which is a kind of culture in Africa, so this actually emerged as a result of the everyday interaction. It emerged casually. It was not something intentionally, but it resulted when the way of interaction it was getting modified. But on the other hand, the civilization is a deliberate effort. People they focus on the technological advancement. They focus to build the pyramids which which has become the evidence of the ancient Egypt civilization. So it is a kind of a deliberate effort. It is not something that technology get advanced casually or informally, but it is something that people, they have intended, they struggle for that, and as a result of which the society stage progress and leads to the civilization. Then the role of individual. Culture is shaped by individual, while on the other hand, the civilization is actually the result of the collective effort. Culture is shaped by individual. For example, if we take the writers like the Shakespeare, who actually enriched the literature by his writing. So culture can be impacted by a single individual, but on the other hand, the civilization is the collective effort, because for example, if we take the ancient Egypt, where there was a pyramids, the writing system, the centralized government under the pharaoh. So this was all the system which cannot be shaped by a single individual. It is a collective effort of whole society. For example, if you take the if we take the Byzantine Empire, where there was a Hagia Sophia, is a building which was built by them, and also the Persian Empire, in which where there was an infrastructure which was named as the royal roads. So such kind of infrastructure such kind of infrastructure cannot be made by a single individual. It is the whole society which take part in that building and leads to the civilization. Then nature. Culture is subjective and it is inner. As we say that culture is associated with the intangible aspect, so it means that it is all that is embedded in our religion, in our philosophy, in art, in our thinking. So we can say that it is subjective and it is inner, because it is something that depends on the emotion, the sentiment of a particular society. But on the other hand, the civilization is more objective and it is more external, because it is in the form of the physical manifestation of things, in the form of the technological advancements, in the form of buildings. So it is external and it is more objective. Then interdependency. In case of the culture, it is independent of civilization, means that culture exists regardless of civilization, but civilization is dependent on culture, because civilization is the advanced stage of that culture. So if the culture does progress, it will lead to a civilization. Otherwise, the civilization will not form. So we can say that it is dependent on culture, but culture is independent as it exists in each and every society. Even in the primitive society where there was no advancement, still the culture exists, because there was a kind of lifestyle which they were using, which they were spending. So that kind of lifestyle, their choices, their life choices, their food choices, these were all the culture of that society. So culture exists regardless of a civilization, but civilization is dependent on culture. Okay, then culture, it can cut across the geographical boundaries. It might be that a particular culture is concentrated on particular geography, but it is not something which could be restricted to particular territory. It could be that it transmits from one generation to another, or it moves into another society through the cultural diffusion. But on the other hand, civilization is mostly tied to specific territory. For example, if we take the Indus Valley civilization, so it is particularly restricted to Sindh, the province of Pakistan, because the archaeologists, they mostly found evidence there of this civilization. So it is mostly tied to specific territory, because there is a kind of infrastructure. Civilization is the infrastructure, the laws and the institutions which was developed in particular society within a defined geography. Then reflection. Culture is reflected in religion, in art. Dance is also the kind of culture. Literature, the custom, morals, music, philosophy, these are all our culture. But on the other hand, civilization, we can get know about civilization by looking at law, the administration, the infrastructure, the social arrangement, the means of transportation. For example, what kind of administration exists in that society, that is actually the reflection of that civilization. Like there was a centralized government in ancient Egypt under the pharaoh. So this was a kind of the government which was existing in that society, is a kind of system. So this actually reflects a kind of that civilization. It is a characteristic of that civilization. Similarly, the legal system or the extensive road network in a Roman Empire is a attribute which is unique to the Roman Empire. And also the cuneiform, the writing system in the Mesopotamia, and the law of Hammurabi, which was designed by him, is characteristic of the Mesopotamia civilization. So the administration, law, the infrastructure, these are all through in which the civilization reflected. What are the examples of culture? Like Diwali, which is celebrated by mostly Indian Hindus, the Japanese tea, which is a kind of ritual, is a kind of ceremony which emphasizes on mindfulness, and the Eid celebrated by Muslims. This is a culture. There could also be other examples also. For example, the dressing which we wear, this is our culture. The food choices or the food which we prefer is our culture, and also the other aspects. On the other hand, the civilization is the ancient Egypt, the Mesopotamia, Byzantine Empire, and how can we come to know about this civilization? By knowing at infrastructure, at the means of transportation, at social arrangement, at administration, law. So we come to know about the civilization when we study that how the society had progressed through different stages. So this is all about the culture and civilization and their difference. So this was the end of our lecture. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your questions in the comment section below. And like, share and subscribe our channel for latest lectures. Thank you.